Last night you promised yourself it was over. No more checking their profile, no more replaying old conversations, no more wondering why everything changed. Yet somehow, before you even realized it, your mind drifted back to them again. Maybe it happened while you were making coffee, maybe during a meeting, maybe while driving home with the radio playing. You weren't trying to think about them. They simply appeared. And that's what makes it so frustrating. You know the relationship may never return. You know those memories cannot change the present. So why does your brain refuse to let go? Most people believe it's because they're still deeply in love. But psychology tells a very different story. Sometimes you aren't trapped by another person. You're trapped by the way your brain processes unfinished emotional experiences. And once you understand that mechanism, everything begins to make sense. And breaches some. Imagine your brain as a detective. Every mystery demands an answer. When someone suddenly changes, ghosts you, leaves without explanation, or sends mixed signals, your brain doesn't label the case as closed. It labels it as incomplete. Questions begin multiplying. Why did they change? Did they ever truly care? Could I have prevented it? Was I not enough? Your conscious mind wants peace, but your subconscious wants answers. That search for certainty is incredibly powerful. Psychologists describe this as our need for cognitive closure. The brain prefers painful certainty over endless uncertainty. Ironically, uncertainty is exactly what many heartbreaks leave behind. That's why people often struggle more after confusing endings than after honest goodbyes. And then, think about finishing an amazing television series. Now imagine the screen suddenly goes black 10 minutes before the ending. You would probably think about that unfinished story for days. Not because it was the greatest ending ever created, because you never received one. Relationships work the same way. An unfinished emotional story keeps consuming mental energy. Your brain keeps reopening the file, hoping this time it will finally solve the puzzle. Lichia. Many people believe they miss the person, but often they miss the future they imagined. The apartment you talked about, the road trips that never happened, the family dinners, growing old together. Those moments never existed, yet emotionally they felt real. Your brain isn't only grieving memories, it's grieving imagined possibilities. And imagined futures are incredibly difficult to release because reality never gets the chance to replace them. Then, dopamine quietly enters the picture. Most people associate dopamine with happiness. That's only part of the story. Dopamine is actually more connected to anticipation than pleasure itself. This explains why unpredictable relationships become addictive. One affectionate message, 3 days of silence, a warm smile, cold distance, a surprise apology, another disappearance. This pattern is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same psychological principle found in gambling. You never know when the next reward will appear. That uncertainty keeps the brain emotionally invested. Healthy consistency feels safe. Unpredictability feels exciting. Unfortunately, exciting is often mistaken for meaningful. Have you noticed how emotionally unavailable people often become unforgettable? It isn't because they're automatically better. It's because scarcity changes perception. When something feels difficult to obtain, the brain assigns greater value to it. Luxury brands understand this. Collectors understand this. Human relationships follow the same shortcut. The less available someone becomes, the more attention your brain gives them. That doesn't mean they're your soulmate. It means your brain has confused rarity with importance. Another hidden reason is identity. Relationships slowly become part of who we believe we are. You stop thinking only as me. You begin thinking as us. Your routines change. Your future changes. Even your daily habits change. When the relationship disappears, your identity suddenly loses one of its foundations. Your brain isn't just searching for another person. It's searching for the version of yourself that existed beside them. Until a new identity forms, your thoughts naturally drift backward. Now here's the trap that keeps millions of people stuck. You decide you're finally going to stop thinking about them. You repeat it every morning. I'm done. I won't think about them. But within minutes, they're back. Psychologists call this ironic process theory. To make sure you aren't thinking about something, your brain first checks whether that thought is present. That checking process accidentally recreates the very thought you're trying to eliminate. It's like trying not to notice a loud clock ticking. The harder you try, the louder it becomes. Social media makes everything worse. Years ago, people slowly faded from daily life. Today, they never completely disappear. A new photo, a mutual friend's post, an old memory notification, a random recommendation. Each tiny reminder restarts the emotional loop. The brain interprets every reminder as unfinished business. Healing becomes much slower when the story is constantly reopened. So how do you actually move on? Not by forcing yourself to forget. Forgetting is not a decision. It's a consequence. Instead, allow the thought to arrive. Notice it without panic. Don't argue with it. Don't chase it. Don't build another imaginary conversation. Simply acknowledge it. Then, gently return your attention to what you're doing. At first, this feels impossible. But every time you refuse to feed the emotional loop, your brain learns something important. This thought is no longer a priority. Eventually, the neural pathway weakens. The memory remains. The emotional charge slowly fades. Healing also requires building new emotional experiences. Meet new people. Learn a skill. Travel somewhere unfamiliar. Exercise. Create routines that belong to your present instead of your past. Every meaningful new experience gives your brain fresh material to organize around. Little by little, the old story stops being the center of your identity. One morning you'll wake up and realize something surprising. You remembered them today, but it didn't hurt. You smiled, then your attention naturally moved somewhere else. Not because you forced yourself, because your brain finally understood the story no longer needed solving. That's what healing actually feels like. Quiet, gradual, almost invisible. Until one day you realize you've already crossed the finish line. Remember this: you don't always think about someone because they were the love of your life. Sometimes you think about them because your brain dislikes unfinished stories, unpredictable rewards, and broken identities. Understanding the truth doesn't erase the past, but it gives you the power to stop blaming your heart for what your mind has been doing all along. If this video helped you understand yourself, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe for more psychology and human behavior insights.